Well, a couple of days out from the season opener for 2022, Dogs versus the D's. Grand final rematch. It's going to be huge. Bevo, you excited?
I am, Jono, yeah. Usually if anyone asks me if I'm excited, I don't really want to answer the question. I'm about as excited as I was when you and I played our first game out here together.
You know what? Do you realise, right? This is the first time I've been back on the ground with you, pretty much since that day. And my first.
What are you saying? I got dropped the next week?
No, I don't think you did. But I don't think we played here again. We might have played one more together here. But I was on the half-back line, got a handball off lip, and my first kicking lead footy went to this forward pocket to you.
And I wouldn't have dropped it, would I?
No, because it went along the ground, so you had no chance of catching it. Hey, before we get into a few things, I just want to say congratulations to you, mate. Life membership for the AFL, mate. It's a great honour.
Yeah, thank you, mate. I said the other day that I feel really privileged to still be part of the game, and I think, you know, our supporters, our members are so connected to our footy club and are really passionate about the club, and for me to be intimately involved, you know, in AFL clubland for such a long period of time, I'm very lucky, and so yeah, it was a great privilege for me to be up on stage last night and accept it, and on we go.
Awesome. We'll walk a bit so we keep you nice and relaxed, mate. I know we mentioned excited before, but what sort of feelings do you get leading into, you know, what is another massive season for the footy club off the back of, you know, the success of making the grand final last year?
Yeah, I think every year that word re-establishment, you know, is at the forefront of my mind. We all, you know, quite obviously start, you know, even at the tape. The gun's about to go off, and so sometimes, you know, running through your mind is that trepidation about what if it doesn't turn out the way you'd like, and so as a coach, as a manager. Yes, it's about the now, but it's about beyond the now as well, and the promise of what will happen round 2 and round 3 and round 4. So, and that frees your mind up to not be so round 1 centric. You know, we've got to win at all costs. You know, yes, it's bloody important, but there's still a long journey ahead. So it frees up the mind, helps me relax a little bit, and I think that rubs off on our people and our players if I'm in the right headspace.
Does that, especially with the players, because everyone wants to be in that round 1 side, and some might be fighting a bit of, you know, a few niggles and bits and pieces to do that. So is that part of the conversations you have with them, that yes, it's important, you want to start as well as possible, but there is a lot more beyond just this first game? Yeah,
well, I'm hoping our players don't see this until after round 1, because this language and because I will build the game up. You know, it'll be, hey, this is such a great opportunity for us, you know, to open the season in front of what could be such a large crowd, obviously in front of our people who haven't been able to come to the footy for such a long period of time, and our players are genuinely excited by that. So I'll build it up. I'm not saying I won't, but what has happened and transpired, especially this year, even more than the last, is the players have 3 weeks off over the New Year's. We've honestly had about 75% of our playing group have the virus. So they've been in and out of the program, and every club's going through it. So it's absolutely imperative that the team that you pick are best equipped to run out, 4 quarters of footy this early in the piece. And I think the last quarter against Brisbane just gone in the trial match gives us that little bit of security and comfort that our last quarter was strong and solid, and so that helps going into the game. What have you taken from the 2 practice games that you've played in the lead up to round 1? Really pleased that we're creating the scoring opportunities with such a landslide of inside 50s. Now, I think it comes and goes with the quality and the efficiency around connection and the mids, the backs connecting with the forwards, and actually being able to capitalise on the scoreboard. In the 2 games we didn't, and we've gone down by a goal in each. So it won't take much just to put a little bit of weight on the scales and shift the paradigm 3 or 4 goals the other way. So we know we're coming up against the reigning premiers who are well equipped right across the ground. but we believe what we're doing, our style, our brand, but also the plans we'll take into the Melbourne game will hold us in really good stead.
Do you see any? You'll make small alterations to the way that you've played last year, moving into this year. But do you see across some of the games that you would have watched the last few weeks, any significant changes in terms of the way teams are trying to move the ball?
I think the teams that have made statements publicly that their brand needs to change, I've noticed some attempts to do that, and this is the challenge for those teams that. If you want to make a huge leap with how offensively minded you become, how much risk you take, you've got to be pretty careful. One, you've got to have the right personnel to pull it off. Two, that it can really expose you defensively. So it's always, for me, been a really healthy blend of the main two phases. And throughout the course of the last 7 years, we've always felt like we're happy with our brand and our style. And then it's making sure that maturity and our players are equipped to pull it off, and that it's coached in the right way on the track, and our coaches do a magnificent job with that. So we haven't had to shift too much. Others have. There's no doubt that we are tinkering around how we defend based on the stand rule. Obviously with last year with the 25-metre spot with the kick-ins and how you have to come back. We've made some alterations around team defence. And we think that's going to really help us in our capacity to not only defend, but to springboard and counter offend or counter attack, and hit the scoreboard.
Have you seen some of the changes that have been put in play from a more umpiring point of view, time wasting, holding the ball with the prior, and also the arguing? How do you see that play out? Yeah,
well, I think the prior, the tackling aspect. And I think that one is inconsequential.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much change at all with that. Definitely the demonstrative behaviour towards the umpires. Obviously, the high water mark was the Melbourne game, 850s, and it pretty much cost them, that game. So our guys are pretty disciplined, but they understand that they're going to put the team under pressure if they...
So you've had the conversations with the players? You've had to?
We had a little bit of a joke about it. I mean, Libba didn't play in the game against Brisbane, but I did say that Libba was taking the 50-metre penalty stat around discipline. So make sure you don't transgress. They know, and they're smart enough. And that other one... around the time wasting. Yeah, we've seen examples of it, and I suppose the more one for Collingwood was probably the one that was right on the edge of he gave it back pretty quick, the footy, and so we'll see what happens. But I don't think they're going to have a significant impact on the game because it wasn't a big issue in the game anyway. I didn't think.
Well, speaking of discipline within the playing group, but it is led from the front with Bonnie. It really has been outstanding how his preparations, but as a leader in whole for the footy club, you can't question what he's been able to achieve.
No, and that integrity in the way he behaves and in his words, year on year he's become a bigger presence, not only at our club but now in the game. He's held in high regard.
He's massive. Absolutely massive.
His reputation precedes him, and even to see him on an Amy ad last year, it means he's getting out of his own
that is true.
Skin.
Running through the streets.
Yeah, and maybe there's a future for him in Hollywood. I thought his acting was pretty on point. It is part of it's not really a challenge, it's just, but depending on who you are as a manager, whether it's Marcus or whether it's, say, Baz, Norts, these guys with profiles, and the boys, with presence on social media, it's just part of the game now. And a challenge more for them and people around them. And it's the new age. But Marcus is, his leadership is critical, and I think others have learnt from him and and how he combines his words and his actions and his professionalism. Can only be healthy for our environment. And
a new look leadership group as well, some changes there.
Yeah, and we've had different models based on our personnel, our playing group, and some of our seniority going out of the club through retirement, and who's been ready, and also trying to promote, from underneath, that leadership isn't necessarily a cap or a title. It is all about your own behaviours and how you are as a person on and off the field. And so we've tried to make sure that there's no secrets, and the transparency of the way we run our leadership program is really important. So we've had the players come through and experience some of that. But now, with Jack McRae taking up the vice captaincy, which is fantastic and brilliant for him, and a credit to him and his status at our footy club. And then obviously you've got Caleb and Norts and Taylor Duray coming in as the formalised leaders, with Marcus being the fifth as our captain. And they're a great core to work from.
So when you start the summer, there's always one or two players when you walk in, you go, wow. You sort of maybe weren't expecting him to look that way or hit the running track the way that he did. Give us a couple that the fans can look out for this year that you go, you know what, he gave me a bit of a wow factor when he returned to do the pre-season. Norts and Timmy English and young Arthur Arthur hadn't even walked in the doors of our footy club, but they had to stay in Perth, otherwise they weren't going to be able to get back, or stay in WA, otherwise they weren't going to be able to get back for Christmas. We're okay with that, and I must say it's a real credit to Big Chili English and Norts, the way that they worked away from the club, represented in the new year. And then Arthur's pretty fit. He's pretty fortunate with his genes. He's got a great speed endurance blend. Look forward to seeing him play.
He's going to really he'd be like a little firecracker, at the start, and he'll add some excitement when he gets his first game. But the other two, when they turned up, they're probably in that category. They look fantastic. I think the boys have been talking about Ed Richards and his physical development.
You can see that in Ed as well, especially in the trial games.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ed's a bit like, say, Bailey Williams, Bailey Dale, even Toby, guys who at the start we didn't necessarily have a position or a role that they was pinned down for them, or they hadn't pinned it down, but for the future we just knew that they were too good a player and too important part of our future not to play in the AFL team. And so we had them playing in different roles at different times, and Ed's a good example of how we've explored wing, we've explored forward, and now he's come back to playing in defence where we originally thought he'd play. And he seems settled, and hopefully that experience of playing a lot of games is now going to help him in the future with his defensive work.
Well, mate, we've done one full lap. It's been that has been an absolute started to blow a little bit, but no, it's been great to be back. One final message just for all the fans out there: they get to come back to the footy and support the mighty red, white, and blue. What can you give them for that final message leading into the season?
We want you to be proud of our footy club, and I don't think you can be if we don't play a brand of footy that you enjoy, that you can say to your friends and your combatants who barrack for other sides that that you like what you see, and there's some promise in the future. And as I said at the start, it's about the now, but it is about establishing something that is sustainable. And since I've been coach, I've yearned for that sustainability of being up, in the top echelon for a significant period of time. We haven't done it yet, so that's our ambition, and we look to start that in the right fashion on Wednesday night next week against Wednesday night against the Demons. So we're looking forward to seeing you at the footy and riding the bumps and definitely the highs with us, and hopefully there's not too many lows.
Awesome, Bevo. It's been a pleasure. Good luck for the year.
Great to see you, John.
Well done, mate.
Thanks,
Good luck.
Good man.